The housing market. Let's talk about it, guys. Millennials and Gen Zers, a lot of them are priced out right now. And I don't know if it's going to get better. Let's dive into this. And oh, by the way, make sure to subscribe if you guys like the content here, as we're almost at 1,000 subs.
It is literally impossible to buy a house right now. I currently work 3 jobs. My girlfriend works 2 jobs. We have a bunch of money saved up, and I still cannot buy a house. Otherwise, we'll be completely house poor. I am so sick of this. I'm so tired of it. We've been working so hard for so long. Both of our credit scores are 700 plus, 720 plus, and we're working our butts off. All we want to do is start our life, live our life, and we can't do it. I'm so tired of it. And now we find out that the money that we've been paying for taxes all this time is going to stuff that it shouldn't have gone to. I don't know how much more I can take, man. I don't know how much more I can take. Like, when is the American dream going to be feasible again? When is it going to be okay to work hard to get good things in life? With both of us combined, 5 jobs, and we can't afford a house. I'm so done, man.
Oh, man, 5 jobs. Think about that, guys. 5 jobs. He has 3. His wife or girlfriend, she has 2. That is insane. What kind of America is this nowadays? What kind of housing market, economy, whatever you want to call it, is this, where somebody with a 720 credit score, dual income household, 5 jobs, they can't afford a home? And he even said he has money saved up, so he probably has a decent down payment. This is insane. This is insane. And he mentioned house poor. That's the reality for a lot of people. I guess they could get a house, right? But it's going to take up so much of their income every month that they can't afford other things in life. They're going to be house poor, which means your house payment takes up way too much of your income than it should, right? This is just, it's sad. And the reality is, a lot of Americans are like this guy and his wife right here. They work a ton of jobs and they still can't buy a home. Man, this is nuts.
This is why it's harder than ever for Gen Z and millennials to ever buy a house right now. Think about it. These kids are getting out of college right now. The average cost in the United States right now is $431,000. They're getting out of school. They have debt. They don't have the best jobs. They're not making enough money. They can't afford to qualify for a home right now, especially with interest rates being as high as they are. Think about the baby boomers. They bought houses, they were averaging $66,000. Now these new kids, they can't afford it. But you might be thinking, oh, Krista, it's all relative. It's not relative. Inflation is at an all-time high right now. They're thinking, well, just save money. Well, listen, right now, rent is at 40% of their entire income. Back in 2000, it was only 25%. They are getting screwed in every which direction. So if you're going to, for Gen Z or millennials, you need to get a great lender out there. Study different type of loan programs, different grants, figure out ways to help these young people. Also, oftentimes now, you're going to have multi-families living in one home. Look for homes that could actually be differentiated or changed a bit to actually be able to afford 2 households at one time.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. A house now on average is $430K. The boomers were paying $60K, and it was a lot less of their monthly income for the boomers, right? Now rent for the average Americans, what, 40% of their income? That is unbelievable. And guess what? Renting is a lot cheaper than having a mortgage now with the interest rates, right? All the fees tacked on. It is taxes, you name it. It's insane. It's actually cheaper to rent than buy a home. I mean, think about it, guys. Rent's 40% of your income, and it's cheaper than buying a home. So if you bought a home, it might be what, 50, 60% of your monthly income. Again, this goes back to being house poor.
Buying a house has become so unaffordable, and I want to briefly summarize just how unaffordable it's become for the average American. Most financial advisors will tell you that your monthly housing payment should be no more than 25% of your after-tax income, not pre-tax, but after-tax income. Now, the average household income in the United States is about $80,000, and when you take into account taxes, which varies depending on what state you live in, your after-tax income is about $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year in after-tax income comes out to $5,000 a month. Taking the financial advisor's advice of not having a housing payment over 25% of your monthly income means that your housing payment needs to be no more than $1,250 per month. Do you realize the kind of house that a $1,250 a month housing budget can afford you? A $175,000 house. So the average American, from a financial advisor's perspective, can afford a $175,000 house. The average home price here in America is $420,000. I don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, guys. There you have it. People are priced out right now, you know? Think about that classic financial advisor tip or example. 25% of your income, your after-tax income. It's like, okay, you make $5,000 a month. Where are you buying a house for $1,250? You're not, unless you're in, some small town in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to be able to pull that off. It is pretty much impossible, right? And, wages haven't gone up a lot as much as they should have over the last couple of decades. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. It's not keeping up with the rising prices of homes right now. I mean, at this point, guys, that 25% rule, throw it out the window unless you're making, over $10,000 a month, right? After taxes, or $15,000 after taxes. Then, okay, you can pull that off in certain areas in America, of course, around the world as well. But if you're not making much money, let's say 30, 40K a year, 50, 60K a year, forget about it.
Yesterday, my tenant called me to let me know that he's going to be applying and probably taking a job back home. And the level of sheer just, what the fuck am I going to do? So I bought a townhouse in South Pasadena, but South Pasadena, early 2021 when I had a job in LA. I was the VP of marketing. Then I went on to be head of growth. So I was making enough money to offset it. My mortgage plus HOA is $3,000 a month. And I texted my real estate agent. She was like, do you want to move back in? Baby, I can't afford to live in my own house. No. Let's go ahead and find another renter.
That's something that not a lot of people think about, right? What about people that have a rental property or 2 rental properties or whatever, right? What happens if that tenant leaves? Sure, you can get another tenant, right? In some areas faster than others, but what if you don't have a tenant for a couple months, right? And you have another primary residence, or you're renting a house or an apartment and you have this rental. What happens when you can't get another tenant? Well, you're going to have to pay that mortgage. You're going to have to pay the taxes, the HOA. And guess what? One mortgage is enough. One rent payment is enough. Imagine having 2, like this lady right here. You're going to be screwed unless you can get, well, first of all, unless you make a lot of money and you can cover 2 mortgages, or you get another tenant ASAP, right? If it takes you a couple months, you're going to be in a tough hole, man. That's something that a lot of people don't think of, right?
If you're beating yourself up because you cannot afford a house, let me give you some numbers to show you how crazy this is actually getting. So most millennials are financially worse off than their parents, but this is absolutely not their fault. Let me just throw you out some numbers. In 1983, the average home price was $56,000. Today, the average home price is $440,000. In 1983, the average college tuition was just over $1,000, $1,083 to be exact. And today, the average college tuition is $13,000. Now, here's the crazy part. Because the average salary in 1983 was $21,600. The average salary today is $58,300. Why is this crazy? During this time frame, home prices are 8x more expensive and college tuition is 9x more expensive. But salaries only went up 2.7x. This is why affordability is so low. Do not beat yourself up because it is not your fault.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. That is, that touched upon the wages that we were talking about earlier in the video. They haven't gone up nearly as much as pretty much anything, right? Tuition, home prices, you name it, man. You name the product, the service, whatever. It hasn't gone up nearly as much. Wages, right? I mean, it's insane. Unless the bottom line is, guys, unless you make over $100K a year as an individual, maybe if it's you and your wife or you and your husband, $150K a year together or more than that, right? Unless you make that much at this point, it's going to be very hard to get a house, get a mortgage, let alone be approved for it, right? It's tough. And a lot of people nowadays, guess what? They have credit card debt, they have student loan debt, they have personal loans, they have loans out the wazoo, man. And guess what? That is what lenders, they look at all of your debt. If you have all of these debt payments on top of having, a salary that's maybe not 100K plus, you're not going to get approved most likely, depending on the market you're in, right? So my advice to you guys is trying to eliminate as much debt as possible, right? If you want to get into a house, if you're a Gen Z or millennial, whatever, if you want to get into a house in the next couple of years, focus on increasing your income, keep your expenses steady. Obviously, we're going to see inflation, so they're going to creep up over time, but avoid lifestyle inflation. That's huge, right? So increase your income, avoid lifestyle inflation, and decrease that debt as much as possible, guys. Preferably eliminate all of your debt, all of your high interest debt, your consumer debt. Get rid of it because this gives you a better chance with the lenders to be approved. And of course, save a down payment, preferably 20%, so your payment's not insane. People that take the 3.5% FHA loan, it's like, I can't even imagine the monthly payment if we did that, or if you did that in this market. I mean, it would be like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, probably something nuts on a house that is $400,000 or $500K. So in my opinion, if you want to get into a house, man, save up a down payment, 20-25%. The more the better, in my opinion. So your monthly payment is not insane. It's comfortable. It's not something that you're dreading every month or you're anxious about. Oh, am I going to make this payment? So save as much of a down payment as possible. Get rid of your debt, right? Increase your income and avoid lifestyle creep, inflation, whatever you want to call it. If you're able to do this, guys, and you have determination and you are really, you're all about getting a house, that's a big goal for you, you're going to do it. You're going to get the house eventually, but you got to grind harder than really any generation has had to grind. That's what it is at this point for Gen Zers, millennials. That's the reality. We're going to have to grind way harder than other generations because that's the card that we've been dealt with. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We're almost at 1,000 subs. That's a big milestone, guys. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.